So back in July, I made a random little video about certifications I held as well as certifications I would hope to get. And within that video, I talked about precision nutrition. And I'm like, well, you know what? I have a lot of free time. This is a great time to look into nutrition certifications. Unfortunately, Precision only opens up their enrollment, I think twice a year, and they were not open at that point. Well, it turns out that someone from Precision saw the video, loved it, and reached out to me and asked, do you want to take our level 1 certification? And I said, duh. So today we're going to walk through my journey of getting my Precision Nutrition level 1 certification. Okay, let's get a little timeline going here. Precision reached out to me in July. I fangirled out immediately, but told them I had to finish up my current studies for CFSC and could I circle back in the fall. They said yes. Fast forward to 2 days before I even took and passed my in-person CFSC practical, I reached back out because your girl has no chill. We got all the nitty-gritty squared away, and on September 20th, my books arrived and I started making a study schedule. So within today's video, I'm gonna discuss how I made a timeline for myself. I'll show you the behind the scenes of the portal. And then I'm going to share with you some of the things that I found the most valuable of the certification that can apply to coaches as well as people who just want to learn a little bit more about nutrition. But before we go any further, I want to quickly stop and explain a little bit more about Precision Nutrition because they are the sponsor of today's video. Precision Nutrition is the largest and most respected private nutrition coaching and education company in the world. Essentially, they are the go-to source within the fitness industry for all things nutrition. And their business is split up into 3 categories: professional education, nutrition and health coaching, and nutrition software. So whether you're a coach or a client, they do have something that they can offer for everybody. Now, if you're a coach and you've been thinking of getting a new certification or learning a little bit more about nutrition in general, I cannot recommend their program enough. But keep in mind that they don't have open enrollment throughout the year. So if you want to see when that is or hop on the pre-sale list, definitely check out the link in the description below to figure out more. Okay, but now let's look at my study schedule and you're gonna see just how type A I really am. So I've done this with all of my certifications. I like to put things in Google Calendar and literally just break things up based on when I wanna get them done by. Most big certifications like this, I don't recommend taking any more than 6 months. I think that that's kind of the sweet spot, right? Like you have enough time where you're not feeling rushed and you're cramming everything in, but it's also not so much time that you're like not retaining the information or just lose motivation and never actually get it done. So 6 months was my goal. Again, I got the books on September 20th. I actually couldn't find in here like my first study date. The first date I ended up seeing was on the 27th, but you can see that's already chapter 3. So I'd obviously already done the first 2 chapters. Not really sure when that landed, but we'll just say that they landed somewhere in there. I also want to say that the fall was very hectic for me. I was still trying to do in-person classes. I had like 3 weddings. I had a vacation in there and then the holidays, and like it was a lot to do. So keeping all of those commitments in mind, as well as my like about 6-month goal, I broke it down so I was doing 1 chapter a week. And usually I was doing this chapter in just 1 sitting. If it was like a huge chapter of 80 to 100 pages, I would break it down into 2 different days, but most of the time I would just sit down, take a few hours, and get it done. So you can see as we go through my calendar, so I always just noted it at the top of the day. Sometimes I would, you know, if I really wanted to get specific with my day, I would drag it down. But again, this is the method that works the best for me. And then I finally ended up finishing on February 17th. You can see I got really antsy at the end and I just ended up doing the last 3 chapters all in 2 days. And I was like, I just want this to be over with. So with all of that, I ended up finishing it in just about 5.5 months. So now let's go in and get a little sneak peek at the portal because that was one of my favorite parts of taking this certification. Okay, so here's the portal. Obviously, I've completed my course and I'm PN certified, but you can see completed certifications, and here is my level 1 nutrition certification. So if we go to the course, so you can see my exam score up here. And it's important to note that something Precision does is that they do not just give you like one big test at the very end, they test you along the way. So you actually have a quiz at the end of every chapter, and they take your quiz score from every single quiz and they average it, and that's your final exam score. So there's no like big at the end final exam, and I really loved learning this way because it took the pressure off of like memorizing dumb shit that you don't need to know. And a question that I get a lot is like, well, how do they know you're gonna retain it? It's like, well, how do they know you're gonna retain it if you take it at the end either? You know, we're professionals, and I feel like if you're investing the time and the money in this course, you're gonna do what you have to do to retain the information and apply it to your clients. So I preferred doing this way. I felt like it was just more meaningful. It helped me actually retain the information more, and it was a more manageable way to approach the course load. So let's just go back and we're gonna look at like a random chapter. So every day, the first thing you get is this little chapter objectives. It's like, this is what you're gonna learn. I feel like I picked a very funny video screenshot. So before you even dive into the material, you have to watch this video. And this is kind of like a generic overview of what you're about to read. I loved this because I actually learned better hearing things rather than just reading them. It makes a lot more sense to me. And sure, obviously I still had to then go read in my textbook, but having this little precursor of a 10-minute overview of like what I'm about to read was so helpful just for my personal way of understanding material. Typically, each chapter had at least one case study, so you're essentially taking what you've learned and then you're applying it, and then you're answering these questions about like, how would you take what you learned and apply it to this specific situation. While none of those things are graded and you don't have to submit them and you don't technically have to do them, it doesn't go into your exam score. Again, if you are paying for this certification and taking the time to do it, it's something you're gonna wanna do. Finally, you're gonna have your exam. I don't wanna show you the questions because I don't think I'm allowed to do that, but it's just 10 questions. Sure, again, like you could use your book if you wanted, but I love the level of trust that Precision like puts in you. They're just like, you're only gonna get as much out of this as you put into it, you paid for it. So if you wanna like use your book and cheat for everything, you can, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, that's enough screen sharing. So let's sit down. We're gonna go through each unit, and I wanna give you one thing that was my main, most important takeaway from each one. Oh shit. My textbooks. Can get these out. Okay, something that's cool, and I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't use it that much. I just used the one on the website because it was easier than write. Like I type faster than I write, but there's like a workbook that you can do as you go, and it just kind of like helps you apply the information that you have learned. Again, is it mandatory? No, but you've invested a lot of money. You probably wanna get better. You should probably just do this. Unit 1, the thin boy. So the main things they talked about in here were their concept of deep health and also how important consistency is. So essentially with deep health, the idea is that it's more than just about like counting your calories. It's about making sure that you are hydrated. Are you getting enough sleep? How is your mental health? Like it's all of these other pillars of health that all kind of build up into this idea of deep health. Now, my main takeaway from this unit was the phrase, there is no failure, just feedback. And you've heard me say this in other videos before, so I should give Precision Nutrition credit for the idea. But essentially what this means is that if you're trying to implement something and it's not working, you didn't fail. That's just feedback that it's not working and you need to adjust your methods. So for example, if I am trying to drink more water during my day, but it's not happening, well, break it down. What are you doing during the day? Oh, I sit at my desk and I have a water cup, but I just never remember to get up and refill it. Okay, so the obstacle there is that you're not remembering. So let's set a reminder every hour to get up and refill your water, and let's see if that works. So it's not failure, it's just feedback that the method you're using is not right for you. And I think that was one of the most empowering things that I learned, not only for my clients, but also just for me. So anyway, Unit 1. Let's move on to Unit 2. All right, this is the big boy, the science. Believe it or not, I actually, and this happened with my NASM one too, I struggled with this section. I mean, not like a crazy amount of struggle, but like I struggled with this section more than the other 2 units. Even though I love science, I will say that like exercise science is more my jam than like this kind of science. Like if we put it in terms of school, like chemistry I always had trouble with, but like anatomy and biology, I was fine. Does that make sense? We're all different types of learners. Now, even though it was difficult, Precision broke it down in a really digestible way, and I liked that they really only stressed like what you had to know. They would break down a complex system and make sure you understand it, but then they'd be like, you don't really need to like be able to explain this. Like you should know it, But like, so they were just very realistic with everything, which like I appreciated. I would say my biggest takeaway from this unit isn't necessarily something that can be applied to anybody. I just really enjoyed it. They got some comedians on their writing team. Parts of this was like so funny. Hold on, I wrote this down to come back to because I thought it was funny, and they have this kind of writing in the entire course. So this is the chapter about like water and fluid balance, so it's all about hydration. A 200-pound male, you're gonna be about 120 pounds of water. If you're a 130-pound female, you're gonna be 72 pounds of water. And then they say, if you're a baby, you're about 75% water. Congratulations on learning to read so early in life. However, please get a grown-up's help with your nutrition coaching. The book is like full of dad jokes and I'm here for it. So anyway, yeah, get the cert for the dad jokes, everybody. Final unit. How to coach. So the third unit shows you how to implement all of it. And the greatest thing about this is that they literally give you like pretty much a step-by-step plan. So Precision does this thing where they break people into level 1, 2, or 3 clients. And my biggest takeaway from this chapter is that most of the population is a level 1 client. Level 2 is gonna be someone who might have like a little bit more specific or niche goal. And level 3 is like professionals, athletes, bodybuilders, people who like need to look or perform a certain way for their career. And level 3 is not meant to be in forever. To be honest, they actually emphasize that level 2 is not meant to be in forever either. So the overall goal is to master level 1 and get as consistent as possible. And they give you very basic check marks to hit. And these basic things like getting enough sleep, eating vegetables, eating protein, drinking water, moving well. Like, they sound really basic, but those are actually the tougher things. So many of my clients and so many people, they jumped right to like macro splits and like,
well, I think my carbs should be at this much, and then I think I need to bring this down, but then pair it at this time, and then do this fasting, and then only eat these meats.
Stop. It's so much. And people get into all of these specifics before they can even eat vegetables consistently. And it's really easy as a coach too to like start looking for the more strategic, harder things before you master those basics. So I think that my biggest takeaway from this was not only like how to implement and what to look for and this great step-by-step plan that they give you, simple. Simple, simple, simple. And they reiterate it in every single unit. The goal with most of your clients is just gonna be, can you eat well and move better? And that's it. And that might sound easy, but again, the easiest stuff is usually the hardest to master. It's your foundation. Oh my goodness, that was a lot. So even though I am technically now double nutrition coach certified, both at a basic level, I definitely feel like this certification was well worth my time. My clients have absolutely benefited from all of the information that I've been able to learn and apply to them. Honestly, I feel like me as a person, I've learned a lot and I've been able to get a lot more consistent with my personal goals based off of a lot of the practices that I've learned through this certification. And Precision was constantly reminding us to test out these things on ourselves, making sure that you are applying these scenarios to your life. Because coaches should really learn to think like beginners, because that's what most of our clients are gonna be. So again, if you would like to get certified as a Precision Nutrition coach, definitely check out the link in the description box below to either see if they're open for enrollment or join that pre-sale list. If you have any specific questions about this cert or again, nutrition in general, always leave them down in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.